right, hello and welcome to another episode of LTA Report. This time with special guest David. David, how have you been?
Not too bad. Enjoying my final year of existence when it comes to this league and, just reveling in the moment, right?
It's okay. Cloud isn't yet to exist yet.
True.
Starting
Sure,
it
buddy,
early before I
sure.
get absolutely bombarded. Oh,
I'm not worried. We'll be fine.
Well, we'll get into that. So one of the topics for today is actually about the top four teams, and I think we may or may not disagree on who we think is a top four team. So,
Question, are you
oh,
paid by Shopify Rebellion to put them one, similar to Meteos putting Cloud9
oh, I'm
in
not. I'm
one
dude,
not
as
putting
I
them
close one?
one.
hated
That's just
that.
like me being a fan, but I'm definitely not putting them one.
Right.
I said multiple times they're my
I
fourth
was just
best
asking whether you were paid, not whether you are or aren't.
team. No, I'm not paid. Trust me, you would know if I was paid by Shopify.
Oh, I know.
Marin, how about you? How has your week been?
Well, we've been blessed today with some content, finally. Shout out to 100 C9 for doing that. Literally just counting down the days till we start. Like, I'm just eager to get into games. It's like when the dive's back, it's like, all right, we're fully in like season now. It's like time to get going.
I think pros was that mark for me. When that came out on Monday, it was like,
Mm.
okay, we're back.
I think I enjoy
hate to say
pros
that
more than the dive.
I
this
do.
week.
That's what I was gonna
Yeah.
say, and they choose to go ballistic now, of course. I think pros is like taken over as like my favorite Riot directly produced piece of content.
Oh, I
Mhm.
agree. I wholeheartedly think we should be getting more than one pros episode per week.
I mean, the players could go out of their way and make it on their own. There's nobody stopping them from doing that.
No, I mean you could
I would
record
have a
two
daily
episodes.
Sven podcast, honestly.
As
Literally
Sven,
just
yeah.
Sven talking.
Sven was
I mean,
fun. I was sad. Inspired seemed like kind of out of it. Normally he's like a lot more talkative, but he just seemed a little out of it. Not sure why.
Well, according to Fudge, scrims ain't going well.
wait, Fudge said the FlyQuest scrims aren't going well?
He was trash
Yeah.
talking. It's probably not true.
Yeah. Yeah.
You never know with it. He's got a very dry sense of humor that is so hard to tell when, like, some people can joke and you can still piece out bits of information from it. Can never tell with Fudge. I never know what way he's actually leaning on a particular issue.
I mean, hey, if their scrims aren't going well, that's good for us.
I wouldn't go that far. Okay, they can play bad in scrims. It's still not going to be enough for you guys. But
I mean, it's better than
You
them
still
doing
have
well in
paradox.
scrims.
no, you're not wrong. I mean, it's better than nothing. It's just
Yeah.
not going to be enough for you guys. For everybody else, it's a good sign. For the top four in the league, it's great. For you guys, like, if you take a game, great, good for you.
We'll see. We'll get
I'm
into that.
loving
That's
this.
our last
I'm
topic.
loving this.
Actually, I was trying to set up, or I wanted to see if I could set up something where, like what we did with Shibby last time, David, between 100 and Shopify with FlyQuest, but unfortunately no takers. So it is what it is. But
I mean, not many people are willing to bet. It seems like.
I mean, it wasn't even the bet. Like the bet wasn't even part of it, right? It just kind of happened.
Yeah, I guess it was kind of natural.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you need to have people that like actively go out of their way to pursue stuff like that just for the hell of it? And I can't. Nah.
Yeah, it is what it is. My first topic for today, and I'm really glad you're here because I wanted to talk about this. But now that LTA is like supposed to be back, right? Or I guess it's new. But what is your expectation of the LTA? Like, what do you expect to see, whether it's gameplay wise or content wise or anything? Like, what is a fan's perspective expectation of the LTA with this whole rebrand?
I expect the gameplay to be actually pretty good. I think like the bright spot of the league for the last year actually has been like the games are genuinely entertaining. And like the LTA or the LCS last year rose in terms of people's expectations of like entertainment when they tune into the league. So I think like once the product is on, it's going to be great for everybody, personally. It's just leading up to that point that has felt so dry to a certain extent. But even then, like when you compare it to the LEC and the lead in that they had this year, we arguably have more. Like we've had a better, if you take out Cagel If you exclude anything that touched Cadrill's hands
Mhm.
from the offseason, technically we've had a better offseason than the LEC.
I mean, do you not count the K Corp, like Red Bull League of Its Own? Does that not count to you? Because we
That's why I
did
said
see G2,
anything that touches Cadrill's hands, because he's included in that.
but it
Exclude
wasn't
that.
his thing.
No, but like excluded. I'm saying like in terms of
Okay,
Riot
yeah.
official like content, like stuff specifically for LEC in like the last month, like in 2025, who's had the better lead in?
I think it's
I
fair to
mean, they're
say.
both bad, so I don't know. Like, yeah,
I
it's
think we have. It's just a matter of whether people know or not. I'm scared for viewership, but like gameplay wise, product wise, I think we're in a good spot.
actually I agree with that. I would agree with that. Thinking about like all of the team content, not just Riot, but like Riot's done some cool stuff, but team content wise, I think definitely our teams have done more than European teams.
Barring
I think
Lion, I
like
think every org has put out content in the last week now.
mm,
100 today, Cloud9 has been putting out.
FlyQuest did yesterday with their fan video. Shopify, you guys have put out consistent content. Dig has put out a few videos introducing their players and putting stuff out there. Uh,
This guy's just put
oh,
out a video, like a house tour, you guys said?
Disguise put that
uh,
out, and then
TL.
the TL has put out like they put some off-season content, but then they just did like an introduction video yesterday to like the LTA South. I'm assuming they'll
Yeah,
have something
with
else like
Mayumi.
this
Yeah.
week for the North. Yeah, so it's like everybody's put stuff out, which is great.
Yeah.
Keep it up.
And they had the AMA. I'm not sure if it was this week or last week, but Team Liquid did an AMA.
Yeah,
I think that was
I think
last
one of the
week.
things I'm like enjoying is at least like as a Cloud9 fan is they're actually trying to get another team to be like a rival with them because I don't expect to be competing at the very top. So you need like that noisy neighbor, and 100 Thieves is definitely going to be that this year.
they have been taking more pot shots at him this year than most, which I appreciate. I mean, I
Mm.
know there's always going to be like the natural wound from last year of like needing to like boost your ego back up because you finally lost to us for the first time in God knows how long.
Mhm.
But like, it seems like the rivalry is kind of like going beyond that. Like, you got like Sniper during the show match, kind of beefing with Sven, and a little bit of Fudge, who's still tangentially Cloud9 despite not being Cloud9. And like, it seems like that rivalry is kind of like butting up a little bit,
Mm.
which is great.
I think we need that because I don't want just a like championship rivalry. I think teams you need like that sort of like in like soccer like derby feel, and like that's what I want other teams to start like doing.
And
You
that's
also
actually one of
have
my
Disguised and Shopify basically being like the K Corp versus Mad Lions of last year before we knew Mad
Mm.
Lions was going to be good. Like both of them were going to be shit, but the rivalry was great.
Mm-hmm.
And now you got the two streamer orgs here that if you guys play each other, could be good.
Let's hope the streamers actually consistently do it. I know Lugba said he will do it whenever he can. I think they made that like specific rule so they weren't tied into having to be consistent streaming it.
Well, Arsh put out an article that apparently like there was some big activation planned with him at the studio this upcoming weekend, but a personal issue came up that Ludwig's not going to be able to go.
oh,
So
he's not
whether
gonna be
that
able to
means
go.
he's not going to be able to go. So whether he's able to co-stream or not, that I don't know. But like it's a personal thing. That's fine. Like that is what it is. Unlucky, sucks, but he's got to deal with that. So like outside of that, dude, I'm loving that rivalry.
Mm-hmm.
And you got this guy, you got Toast going in on it a little bit, like mentioning about how like they're the future and everything else. There is like both of these teams are going to be bottom four in the league. It's great to have them as a rival, like the two of them butting heads against each other. At least we have like that makes me care more than Immortals versus Dignitas ever did.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And like I feel this guy's kind of went under the radar because of the Shopify announcement, and just the reminder that they're here when they did the post, like they were instantly getting like hundreds of likes on like their socials. Like they're still here, even if their roster may be eighth. Like they're still going to be here this year.
My expectations for the LTA actually is pretty much what you guys touched about. I think there's gonna be a lot more like passion involved with the players. I think the players' personalities are really going to show. I think that's the one thing that I kind of want to see from the LTA is give these players more opportunities to have fudge, go against FlyQuest, be like, oh, you know what? Who cares? You guys are trash. Like, sure, maybe he didn't mean that completely, but we got so much sniper like trash talk out of nowhere. Like these opportunities that come from like these young players, Surdy just being like, oh yeah, all these top laners don't know what they're doing. They all suck. You know, I respect Impact, but like, 1v1, I'm better than him. It's like, come on, man, you haven't even played a single game yet. I love seeing that stuff.
I
So
swear
I'm
we
hoping
hear
we see
that
more.
every year.
But all he had to do,
Woohoo.
here's the thing, he had a slam dunk with that. Whenever people were like, oh, it's Impact, all you had to do was say, and what happened with Sniper when he faced Impact for the first time. All he had to say, and the case is done, shut, and he's proven his point.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember what happened? Sniper absolutely shit on him. Like, destroyed him in that first game with Riven.
Mm.
So, it's been done before. There's reason to believe that Surdy can beat Impact in his first series.
Maybe 1v1, yeah. I think the Team Liquid, I will get to it when we talk about the top 4 teams. But another thing that I'm really hoping for is we kind of saw the teaser video that came out like 2 weeks ago showing like LTA North, LTA South, and I know they're trying to keep everything involved, but I would really hate it if we got all the way until, hey, time to go to Brazil. Here are the teams you guys are facing. You're not giving me any reason to care. It's just like, hey, I just want my teams to win. I would like to know more about those teams so that I can hate them properly, you know?
What I would hope that they do, and relating to the video that you mentioned, because I think there's a flip side to that as well, which is I want an LTA North specific hype video, which I'm assuming will probably come on Thursday or Friday, given how they've historically done it. If we don't get that, I'm going to be really upset. But what do you think about, like, I don't know if this is the case, I don't know if this is planned, but if they had Jat do Let's Go, and he's constantly like going between the two regions, like every week you get an episode of Let's Go that's more of like a vlog style content, but is exploring what's going on around the LTA. Or like you split it up in two, you have like a Jat section, and then you have somebody from the LTA South, and it's a drive to survive, like, hey, this is what's going on in both of these, and then it leads to both of the people coming together doing a podcast, like a Let's Go episode talk and vlog series whenever they actually go to Brazil and both of our teams meet.
I like the idea. Like, I'd maybe tweak it a little bit and have like Jack go to Brazil and then the other guy come to NA, and it's kind of like a behind enemy lines like type feel to it.
Oh, like the Army Navy swap. That'd be great. Wait, that's actually a phenomenal. Do you guys know about that?
No.
There's like shows here like kind of similar.
It's not even it's not a show. It's actually a college football tradition. So the Army and the Navy both have schools that people can go to get college degrees and do their service as well. And they do what's called a prisoner swap, where Army students will spend a semester with the Navy, and the Navy students will spend a semester with the Army. They get hazed, a whole bunch of other shit. It's wild. But then they get swapped back on the day of the Army-Navy football game. And they all meet up at the 50-yard line. They do their salutes, swap back, and then they run back to their respective sides, and both sides go nuts. So like you have the potential for like an Army Navy style North and South swap between Jad and whoever else. Like we take one talent and send them over each split to like go over there, and then we swap them back come playoffs, or like we don't need it for spring since there's no cross conference stuff. But like split 1 and split 3, do a prisoner swap.
That would be really cool.
It'd be good because then you could have like segments on like going to Jat while he's in Brazil, while like during the block. I think it'd be cool.
The LTA
like
South
live
people
from there?
spike his
Yeah.
water and shit. No, that's too far.
I was actually thinking more of like actively having the players trash talk each other, be like, oh yeah, APA, like, oh, I saw Payne's game. I think their mid laner sucks. Or just give us reason to care about these matchups. But honestly, that idea is pretty cool. I just hope they give us something. I really don't want it to be. I know it's like a pilot, but I don't want it to be something where it's like, okay, sort of like an international tournament, going in not knowing anything, but then that international tournament leads into another international tournament. It just doesn't. I want it to feel more regional rather than international, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
To me,
and you
like-
don't really. Oh, go ahead. No, go.
I was gonna say, like, have like WWE style, like you have APA on one side, you have a Brazilian player on the other, and you just let them talk. You have no host. You literally just let them start talking shit to each other. I think that'd
Language
be cool.
barrier might be a little hard, but yeah.
Yeah,
Some you have
they're not
some
all
that are
great on
cool, yeah.
camera. Plus, you
No.
have the language barrier as well. I could see it being a little bit iffy on that front, but I like the idea at a
Get
minimum.
Trimby. I know he can speak perfect English.
And ThinkGuard. ThinkGuard's gonna be
True.
there.
Oh, that would
APA
be
calling him
good.
a traitor.
Yeah, if we make it, or if Shopify make it, Contracts and Palafox need to have a segment with ThinkGuard. If he makes it, he's not on a great team, in my
More
opinion.
realistic, we put Spawn and ThinkHard together because those two will actually be at the tournament. But we put the two of them together,
Sure,
start
buddy.
shit talking each other.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
Is ThinkGuard that kind of person though? Like, I don't know. Spawn on camera
Yeah.
and off camera is very different.
Did you watch Thorin's conversation with ThinkHard?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he can. When you can tell he's got when he gets in the right environment, I can tell that he would let loose.
I guess I don't know. I didn't feel like he gave off that vibe, but maybe.
It gave me the same vibes as like my uncle, who's a superintendent of a school district that like you would like very chill, very down to earth, but or not very down to earth, very chill, like very like buttoned up together, doesn't really like say a lot until he's 2 beers in. And the second he's 2 beers in, does not shut up, keeps going, and just makes everything a blast. Like I get the exact same vibe from ThinkGuard.
I can actually kind of see that. Get like an inebriated coach stream. Oh,
Oh, dude, that'd be great.
I do not
Do a video
recommend.
where every time one of your players makes a mistake that you talked about for the week, do a shot.
Oh God. Yeah,
I'd worry
that's
for
content.
I'd worry for Reaper last year with that type of game.
Dude, his poor liver, man. Liver would be dead in the hospital.
How
Dude,
many
the
shots would
amount
he have
of,
to take for JoJo picking LeBlanc over and over again? Is that like 10 alone?
as many shots as they gave JoJo in that video this morning.
Oh god.
The amount of late jokes they were making in that thing.
My other expectation for the LTA, and I think Marn agreed with me, but I don't know if you will. We should not be losing to EU. Like we should just automatically be the third best region, not just because we made it to quarters twice in a row, but because our gameplay is just better.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't think there should be no disagreeing with that from any. Like even there are going to be European fans that are going to be upset with that and be like, "Oh, you've only made it further in Worlds because you haven't played a Western or you haven't played either us or an Eastern team." Okay, fine. Literally watch any co-streamer watch your games from last year and watch them watch ours, and you tell me
There is
which
a
was
reason
the
Dom is
better.
not doing it anymore.
Did you see the
Exactly.
rogue game? Oh my god, dude! They refused to end the game. They refused to play the game.
It's like no, I'm not worried about Europe at all. And like I think G2 got notably worse. I think they'll be better by the end of the year. Like Europe as a whole will eventually have somebody rise to the top that I think can make it out of Swiss stage. But at least for now, the whole region is like not looking pretty at the moment. Give them
You
time,
think
they'll be fine.
international credibility is like ran out? Because I think like my opinion always was is spank every other EU team, but it wouldn't be the end of the world if you lose to G2 because internationally they can just turn it on in a second.
I mean, I'm sure it's rich coming from a North American fan to be talking shit about like them making it out of Swiss stage and celebrating that moment. But they made it out, what, 2022? And the
They
way that they
they
did it
didn't
was
make it
one
out.
of the most they did. Rogue made it out with one
Oh,
of
I
the
thought you
most
said G2. I
pathetic.
was like, they didn't even.
No,
They won
G2
one
hasn't made
game.
it out in the
Okay.
last 2 years, but Rogue made it out in 2022 because they went what 3-0 on the first week, and then went like they went 0-3, but either won the tiebreaker or somebody
Other way around. They went
helped
one
them
and
get.
two, and then they lost the third game, the
I thought
tiebreaker.
I'm pretty sure they went undefeated the first week though, right?
Yeah, so they won 3-0, and then they won
Oh,
their
okay,
first game against the Gam, and then they
Yeah.
lost 2 games, and then they lost the tiebreaker as well.
And then got 0-3 immediately afterwards. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, if that's your crowning achievement and that's what you're proud of over the last 4 years since your one like legacy team did really, really well for 3 years straight, congrats.
Well,
Like,
G2 did make it did make it top 4 at MSI.
yeah. I mean, I'll give you that. That's a fair counterpoint to discredit. But I don't know. Ask T1 fans, does MSI matter?
Well, you're a
I don't
T1
know.
fan, so maybe you can answer that.
The answer is no.
It absolutely
Unless I
does.
say that it does, then it does.
Unless T1 win, then it matters.
Haven't you? Everybody should know that by now. It amazes me the amount of people that get pissed off at like T1 and LCK fans that will, care whenever their team wins and not care whenever their team doesn't win. It's like, maybe we're closer to sports fandom than we think, people, and it's a good thing.
That sounds so relatable to football, honestly.
It is. It's nice. I like it that way. It causes drama.
So like in our there's the FA Cup, which is pretty big, but then they also have like a cup below it, so it's just like Premier League to League Two, so the 4 English leagues, and no like other team in it. So my team won it, discredited. The next year, a big team wins it. It's suddenly relevant. Like that's exactly what MSI feels like.
Esports World Cup wouldn't have mattered had anybody but Team 1 won. T1 wins, you're goddamn right that it matters all of a sudden.
Apparently,
I don't make the rules.
Apparently, if you're Baltimore, catching the ball doesn't matter.
You should have seen the discussion around the Esports World Cup in the Call of Duty community, because that was a legitimate, whether that tournament mattered or not, because the money was equal or greater than every other tournament throughout the year. And it was like, does this count for a chip or not? Like, how does this weigh? Everybody was grappling with it in a way that the league community had a very dulled down version of it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's talk about whether streaming scrims matters or not. Because I listened a little bit to your conversation about this, and I saw a couple tweets, and I think I may disagree with you, but I want to get the full, the full idea before I go on. So you think that pros at some point should be streaming their scrims?
I think 1 block a week should be streamed. Yeah.
Per team, or just one team has to be sacrificed?
Not every team has to if they're lazy with it and don't want to, but it would be in the best interest of everybody if everybody streamed 1 scrim block a week and agreed with the team to do it.
Best interest of who? Who's everybody? You have the fans, you have the team side, right? Those are the two sides. Yeah. You think it's both? How does that benefit
team side grows an audience first and foremost, because coming from a esport that streams scrims for years. Okay, that's how you built fandom and hype for these guys going into LAN events, and it built storylines that you could feed off of going into those events. It gives you content to watch whenever so many players are terrible with doing content. Stream scrims are the best thing that they can do, because they're on camera doing the thing that they naturally are doing in the first place. And you don't have to have the pros trying to come out of their shell. They just have to be who they are in the game. Mm-hmm. And we get to see a glimpse of that, which is not something that most people see other than voice comms, which is not bad, but it's very curated. You get to see more content out of that. It's a free stream, which turns into a free YouTube video each and every week. And it's content to start building this stuff up. I'm not saying it's going to be massively successful in terms of the viewership numbers on Twitch, especially. I think that's going to be relatively low for the most part, unless teams really lean into it. Hey, this is our scrim night. Come on out, watch, make it a community event out of it. Have a content creator, cast it. In FlyQuest case, because FlyQuest are apparently all in on this idea. Have LS commentate it and note out things within the scrim and help teach your audience. And then when you get to game day, you can see whether they're doing those things or not. You help educate your audience and teach them the game in a much more informal setting than actual game day. And it's just a better overall experience. It adds something that currently does not exist in what would otherwise be dead space and dead time. Because when we get into the season, if you think any of those players are doing the content that they're doing right now, they're not.
So I'll agree with you that it does fill up a void that exists, but it doesn't solve the problem. It's more like treating a symptom rather than the actual sickness. The way I look at it is look, unless you have people like K-Drill, like LS, well, K-Drill's with you, but let's just say Ludwig or I Will Dominate, actually streaming these scrims, I think what's going to happen is for the first 2 weeks, everyone's going to be super excited about them. A bunch of people are going to watch, and then it's going to go into the ether, and no one's actually going to pay attention to it unless we have content creators who are making content around that. And then my argument is like, well, instead of them making content of streamed scrims, they could use that time. You could hire them to do other stuff with your players, like have a podcast, like have your own pros episode, which I think would deliver more value. So if it's like, hey, give us something, yes, I will agree. But in terms of like it being something that could actually develop a culture, I think you would need a content creator. And if you have a content creator, you should probably already be utilizing him.
You've been in the space long enough. Look at me with a dead serious face and tell me that players are going to do that shit on their own.
No, not the players. I'm talking about the teams. They need to get content creators,
The team,
right?
but the team, yeah, but you're saying like a pros and things like that. That requires player involvement. Like the reality is, you need players involved in content in some way, shape, or form. Just the content creators, it's not bad, but you need the blending of both. And the players are not going to do it. They have not done it for years. They're going to turn on stream with no cam and sit there and not really talk to the chat all that much, barring a few exceptions, which is great to see as of late. But like, we have seen the proof over the last few years. Like when I'm saying this, and I understand I'm getting a lot of pushback of people saying like, the scrim quality would be bad. People would stop caring as much. They'd stop doing this. It's like, well, give me an answer otherwise. Like, give me something to help turn this ship around. Because as of right now, I'm not hearing suggestions from anybody at the moment.
Well, my point is, if they just stream skim, they're going to do it with their cams off. They're probably going to be a lot less involved because they want to hide strats because everybody is like, unfortunately, a lot of players, not everybody, but have that idea and mentality. A lot of coaches aren't going to draft the best drafts. They're going to play for fun. Sure, that might be better for content. But at the end of the day, unless big co-streamers are going to, or big personalities are going to like um adopt it and make it a thing, team screaming scrims is not actually going to last long. That's my hypothesis.
I think you got to start somewhere though. Like it sounds dumb, but like you gotta do something. Even if like say who's a good org to pick, Dignitas has, to my understanding, no major content creator. If I get to watch Surdy play in scrims and then watch that then translate later, you will build a few fans. And maybe you can bring a creator in later, but how many followers did you start with?
Me, 0.
How many did I start with?
0.
How many did Martin start with?
0. I'm assuming
Build
0.
it
I
up
don't
from
know.
nothing.
Mhm.
We all did when we all created our accounts fresh. I understand these are big brands that do have larger amounts of money, larger followings, and in theory should have more, but we have to treat it like they have nothing. They got to start somewhere. And this is a starting point. Whether they choose to continue it or not, all on them and their will. But I think if one thing has proven itself true in content, it's just be consistent. If you consistently stream scrims and then make a YouTube video out of it and then maybe evolve it later, or if you see that it's not working, what's not working about it? Assess that. That's on the content side of the org to figure out why it is working, why it's not working, how they can make improvements. But at least having a base product to start with and try and shape in that one stream scrim a week, that's at least something that we can work with rather than sitting here trying to think of something to put in that void. Or like you said, products that for you think they might work. For me, the proof is there that I just don't think players are going to be interacting enough. And no, not everybody has a Ludwig or a Disguised or a Meteos for that matter.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. Excluding the argument of like, hey, each team should have their own podcast that they do once a week. Like, I think that's a better use of the time rather than streaming scrims. Your argument is like they're not going to do it. Only really Team Liquid's probably the only team that actually was able to get their players to do content consistent basis. That would like took away from their time. No one else has been. FlyQuest a little bit, but it was like 2-3 minute videos.
Yeah,
Didn't really
it was a
count.
little hit or miss.
Yeah, it was like, hey, try these snacks that Basil did 90% of the video, and now we're just trying it. In that sense, I will agree. I just think that the idea that like, oh, if you start streaming scrims, all of a sudden, like everybody's going to be watching NA, or it's going to completely revolutionize. I don't think that's true.
No, I don't believe that either. To be very clear, I don't believe that's the case. But it gives you a starting point. It gives you something to work with in a world where we don't have anything otherwise. Or not much. I don't want to say nothing. Not much. You have 5 days of dead space from the team side that we don't like. Here's what we expect. Next week, after games are done, what's going to happen on Monday? Pros. What's going to happen on Wednesday?
Dive.
The dive. We'll have Hotline League. We'll have all these other things. The only thing that we know for a fact that will come out from the teams is voice comms. That's it. That's the only thing that we know for certain is going to happen here.
Even then, it comes out on Thursdays, if I'm not mistaken, because that's when Riot
Bingo.
gets
And
into
by
people.
then, it's too late.
Yeah.
Second you hit Wednesday, last week's shit does not matter.
I don't know the logistics behind it, but my understanding is like it's a little hard to get it out to the players. So maybe find a way to get it to the teams earlier so they can release it.
But it's a problem that we have to solve. If we
Yeah.
want to grow all this, if we want to get more viewers and get more popularity, we have to do the things that work in modern social media, which is speeding up the pace of all of this. Team Liquid putting out their videos immediately after a match. Perfect.
During the match, actually,
Perfect.
yeah.
Yeah, like they are so quick on the trigger, and I appreciate that because like that's what you need. That's what people are craving in the moment.
All right, you've convinced me a little bit. I still think if you had the option, I would much rather make it like Riot come up and say, "Hey, during every single week, there's a day that we have to do media, like after the games or whatever it is. Every single matchup gets its own feature, and the teams can publish it on their end. Riot doesn't have to edit it or anything, but you give a space for Surdy. Who are Dignitas playing again? Team Liquid. Surdy to talk against Impact, and it's like just 15 minutes that might go on Dignitas channel, or maybe half it goes on Dig's channel, half it goes on Team Liquid's channel, but just get players involved with each other. I feel like streaming scrims is like the level 1 kind of 101 that's not that entertaining in my opinion. I would rather something, maybe like a 201 level, but if 101 is all we get, then sure. I don't know,
think
Martin,
the
you haven't
players
spoken
are.
much.
I don't think the players are versed enough to be at a 201 level. But
I mean,
sorry,
you have
I've been
to push
talking a
them.
lot, Martin. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we've
No,
been
you're
talking
good.
over
I
him.
think no, it's good. I just think like watching Lost Returners today, it really angers me that that's a weekly thing for their fans. They can listen to their actual pro matches. Sure, we're not gonna get like, oh, let's listen to the LTA teams. By the way, they need to start doing that more. I love it when the COD section does, and they do it on for too long. But it's like really cool to listen to. Like, they even do it for the Saudi Arabian team, which is I think like fair nod.
Falcons?
But
Yeah.
I think the one thing I disagree with like Cloud's point is like, would it kind of get the viewership? Like, if you actually look at Loki and Thanos' stream, they don't really ever speak that much. They get quite a few hundred views. Like Thanos has a YouTube channel. Like I didn't notice until like recently he uploads all these VODs to YouTube. I think it's because in Korea at the time, like you can't upload VODs. So like they made a YouTube channel for him and he's continued that in NA and I just don't think pros, as soon as the season starts, even Sven talked about it, and he's been like consistently streaming. As soon as it starts, he feels like the quality would decline because he'd be tired, he wouldn't be talking to his chat, and that's his reason for not streaming. I just don't think pros, as soon as the season starts, will have that hunger to like create content. Because like right now, I saw the other day, all 5 Cloud9 members are streaming at the same time. You won't find one player as soon as it starts.
It was something that Scum talked about because this has been a topic of conversation in Call of Duty for a long period of time. One of the reasons he decided to retire was because Call of Duty swapped to a model where people stopped streaming scrims and they didn't want any content around practice or prep to get out there because they thought it was hyper competitive in like the new CDL era. And he retired because he really missed being able to do content. And it's just not possible for him with the scrim requirements and everything else during the season. I'm not saying that league pros couldn't be doing more than they're doing now, but I do understand they are under incredible stress and incredible workload. So what's the easiest way to make content easy for them? Make it so they don't have to do anything, but just play the game and talk like they normally do. All you do is you put a camera in front of them, turn on their mic, and a producer or whoever's in back controlling the live stream, they get everything. And then what the content team wants to do with that in terms of chopping it up for shorts, whatever afterwards, fine.
Sven would be hilarious in like a scrim stream because I can guarantee him like just muting his mic and saying, "My team's fucking boosted, lads."
I'm pretty sure you could say that in all chat too.
Shit's gonna fly if they stream scrims like people are not ready for some of the verbiage that will come out. I think it would be a culture shock for a lot of people in league. Like, even if the players all have like a sign above them saying like, "Hey, reminder, we're live." One of the Aussies is going to slip up and throw out the C word, and it's going to throw every American for a loop the first time they hear it. But then they're going to get conditioned to it and like be like, "Okay, cultural difference, it's fine." But like, you just got to get over that. You just got to let it happen, and then we'll be fine afterwards. Like, just do it. Worry about the repercussions afterwards.
So what I was thinking while you were talking, what about instead of streaming those scrims, you just had like if I'm Cloud9, if I'm like their GM, right? I'm David. I just have their computers recording whenever they're playing solo queue, and then give it to a YouTube editor and have them just upload it to their YouTube channel, so that they're not like they're not streaming it. It's recorded and then it's put up as gameplay for people to watch on their own channel, and at least it gives something for people to want to see them play solo queue, so that they don't have to stream. They're still doing what they're doing. It's just being recorded, not by them.
Why did Champions Queue voice cons fail?
Because people, well, many reasons, but one of them was like they were tired. They didn't want to
They didn't want
speak.
to talk.
Yeah.
How do you make a YouTube video out of just pure gameplay without somebody talking?
Oh, there are a bunch of channels that do that.
There are, but like when you're watching pro play gameplay, you want to hear them talk at least a little bit, or at least like you want to hear the dynamic of the team, or you want to hear more than just like what is the gameplay in front of you. You're looking for the chemistry. You're looking for something else in like how people interact with each other. I think them just turning on OBS, hitting record, and having a shit ton of stock gameplay footage, while great for highlight reels, sure, it doesn't tell a story really. Like there's not all that much that I think you can pull out of that. Versus
Well,
that
I'll
one
push back on
scrim.
that. Like if I'm playing jungle right now, I would love to be able to just go and see what Contracts is doing, right? And just watch a couple of Contracts games, whether he's like commentating or not, just seeing what he like how he's playing the Jarvan matchup, how he's playing the Ivern. Like I'm trying to learn my Ivern clears.
Sure,
It's my
I'll
favorite
give you that
player.
point.
Yeah.
That's fair. But I think the potential of being able to hear comms, being able to hear like them in their natural environment is way more than just people looking for one-off. How do I improve from this? If I'm looking to bond with a team, to bond with players, I'm not looking at how Contracts is trying to improve in his jungle. I'm looking at how does this team interact with each other.
That's fair.
And that's what made stream scrims and Call of Duty so special. Was because you could see the chemistry build. You watch them have arguments. You watch them have fights. But you know what? They learned how to handle that in a responsible way because some learned how to handle that in a responsible way on stream. Others did not. But you got to watch that process throughout its entirety. And it's better and more raw and unfiltered than any docuseries could ever provide. Because the org is going to pick and choose what they want you to hear and what they want you to see. The value of this being live is that you can't filter it. They might have their own internal filter, but once something is said, there's no going back.
Mm-hmm.
And that authenticity is what has been missing in low esports content for a while now, in my opinion. Everything is finally curated. Everything is like, we're showing you these specific clips for this reason, this. It's like, just give me the raw shit. Like, I just want to see them being themselves in their most honest setting, which is hard to bring out, but in scrims, you will see that more. You're more likely to see it than not.
You've convinced me. I think it would be cool. Like I was just thinking to myself while you were talking, would I watch like Shopify scrims? Would I really enjoy it? And it's like absolutely, I would. And maybe I'm a
It's
more
not for
engaged fan
everybody.
than most people. Yeah, maybe I'm more engaged than most people, but I definitely wouldn't watch all the scrims. Like I wouldn't watch Lions scrimming Cloud9, for example, but I'm sure Marn would.
Not your job to. I didn't watch a single second of FaZe's stream scrims, and I never fucking would. I'm not supporting them. They can go screw themselves. I could not care less, but you best believe I was tuning in every night to watch Optic scrims.
Mm-hmm.
Every night.
I very much want teams to hate each other. And I'm so sad with like this whole like kumbaya, everybody loves like we're all when I was on Hotline League, I was talking to Travis and he was like, maybe we can convert Ludwig into like, you know, people who are fans for all the LTA. I'm like, no, screw them.
No.
We brought
Fuck
in
that.
Ludwig, not them. We brought in Moist. They should be Shopify fans. They shouldn't watch a single game of any other team.
Nate Shot today had a great moment on stream. there are Optic fans going at him because Optic just beat 100 Thieves in a round 11 game 5 and one of like the most insane comebacks of the season so far for Call of Duty. Optic fans have been chirping on social media everywhere. And the replies of anything 100 Thieves, it's been great. Nadeshot comes out and says, "You fuckers better win every event. You better not lose to us again or you will hear it." And it's like, that's what you need. That's the passion that you need from it. I want that fear that exists for me right now, knowing that if we play Cloud9 and we lose, oh my God, is my social media screwed for 48 hours? But if we win, oh, you're so done. Oh, you're so done. You have no idea.
Our players are too soft for that. Our players are way too soft for that. We need
Fuck
to
the
condition
players.
them.
I care about
we
the
need
fans.
to condition
you
them.
and I can do that. Me, I can sit here and shit talk Marn for days because he's trying to let me have it. He's trying to, bounce back these one-off comments on Twitter. Everybody's like, "Oh, 100 Thieves is going away." If you don't beat us in the next year before we leave, oh, I don't care what team I have to go to next. That's following you forever, motherfucker.
Oh man.
That hate doesn't go away just because this might disappear.
Mm.
But that's something you can build off.
Yeah, I agree. Like in the C9 video today, you had like APA and Marsu. I really wanted them to just sit there, like not even acknowledging their existence. Like I don't want to hear your name until we're like fist bumping in LTA. But they're talking like, come on.
Yeah, I mean, they're friends
remember,
IRL.
Remember, like MJ, as soon as he would see a rival, shit talking, like calling them out, saying silly shit. Like,
you know what would burn that friendship in a heartbeat? If we had a stream scrim and Yawn actually let him know how he felt in the moment. Just a one-off passing comment of this dude's fucking terrible. And all of a sudden, like, everybody might write that off. But then there's going to be one player that doesn't. Okay? They're going to remember that. And then it's going to come up like 10 days later. And then all of a sudden, that seed was planted from this random one-off moment on stream. That's why you do it.
I was just thinking about, like, you were saying, like, Twitter would explode if C9 beat you. If C9 and Koi ever face and they beat Koi, the amount of shits that Jojo is going to get is insane.
Honestly, the same tweet will be quote from both sides. Jojo was the problem. Regardless of who wins, Jojo was the problem is the tweet that's going out 100%.
I get why C9 has been like kind of sucking up the Jojo PM with like the mouse pad thing and all that. Like I get it. But man, it'd be so good if they just leaned into like just a reply. Like Jojo PM loses that game terribly with his Ari play on day 2, was it? Or no, it was the Giant X game.
It was day 2.
No, it was the Giant X game because they lost that Ari game.
Oh, okay.
Or no, I'm thinking of K Corp. No,
I thought they lost their second game, right?
Yeah,
it was the
they did.
They won the SEER game
yeah.
and they lost the R game.
Imagine if C9 tweeted out, "That's why you got fired." Imagine. Bro, that would have been so good. Bro, it was Berserker Mousepad. Never mind. I'm mixing up my situations. They've said
like bad things in the past. Like, do you remember during, I think it was the Chicago finals, they did like the competitive ruling tweet. Like, I've seen you say this stuff before. Like, go off on people.
As long as there's no pending litigation, okay, between the two of them.
That's what I'm kind of like. Because Jojo kind of like brushed him off saying, I like him, nothing wrong with them, and then like instantly moved on. Hey, there's a few people so salty that we didn't do a thank you thing. Imagine if we beat them and then we finally release the thank you Jojo video.
Oh, that is what you need to do. Yes. Dude, someone
that is great. I know. Actually, now that you say that, Portillo is 100% sitting on that without a question.
That'd be amazing.
Thank you,
It's
Jojo.
dangerous though to shit talk former players. Welcome to drama, my friend. Drama makes the world go round. The Kardashians literally slapped their sisters, and we all sat here and watched.
You respond to Doc. Jojo's already said there's no bad blood, so
you gotta make
I think now it's fair game.
Nah, you gotta make some bad blood.
I really hope that happens. If not, I'm making that fucking graphic myself.
You
And what
should.
I would do if I'm Ludwig to make it LTA related, if Ludwig faces Disguised, I'm literally releasing a video the moment that they beat Disguised of me just literally going up to a toaster, putting bread in, and sitting there, letting the camera roll, no cuts, no nothing. And then it just pops up entirely burnt. Peace out. Walk off camera. That's it. That's all you got to do.
You can somehow like have in the bread like Shopify W.
Even I even think that's too much. Like you don't have to edit it anyway. Like literally just walk up, plug in a toaster, put the bread in, do that. And if this guy really wants to run with it and like actually be smart about this and not just take the heat, you then have a video of him like unplugging the toaster, walking over to a bathtub and faking like you're getting in.
Oh man.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're on the opposite side of the bracket. Do we want to get into top 4, or do you have anything else to
I'm down.
add, Martin?
No, I'm good. I think we all said everything we need to say on that point.
All right, let's just get this out of the way. Can we agree Team Liquid FlyQuest top 2?
Yes.
All right. I will explain why I think FlyQuest are going to be above Team Liquid. I don't know what you guys have, but my logic is Team Liquid or FlyQuest in general have played this like, let's scale, let's wait until we have 2 items on all our carries, and we're just gonna play this like super not passive early game. They're playing aggressive, but like defending what they need to and giving what they need to, and coming to third dragon and fighting around Baron and whatnot. I think with Baron moving to past like 25 minutes, oh, a little too loud. Baron moving to 25 minutes instead of 20. I think it just gives them more opportunity to scale, more opportunity to play their play style. I think it just like meshes quite well. I think Atakan can be a bait a lot of times, so that's why I'm putting FlyQuest just are going to continue to be above Team Liquid. That's my logic. The game changes kind of benefit them more. Lane swapping has become a little bit more simple, which was one of Team Liquid's strengths. So those together, that's why I'm putting FlyQuest first, Team Liquid second. Martin?
I've gone back and forth on this. I think at the moment I'd probably stick with Fly first. Like, I don't think there's anything like else to say that I've already covered, but I think they are going to get the ground running. I don't buy into the scrim rumors at all. Based on a guy that supports the team that apparently was the best team in scrims last year, it means fuck all, lads.
All that sounds like great logic, okay? Probably can't refute any of that. Really can't. That said, let me ask you this. What split is this for quad?
Split 1? What do you mean?
His second
Oh,
split.
in NA, yeah.
Yeah. What happens to Korean mid imports on their second split typically? With the exception of Quid.
I was just about to mention not what happened with Quid. They slump.
They slump? Oh, darn. What do you know? The timing of that's insane. I just personally feel like Team Liquid has a lot that they can elevate to, and there's more to push them than FlyQuest. It's a complete narrative point. It's a complete shot in the dark. But if I'm trying to think of a way that Team Liquid can and reasonably will become better than FlyQuest, it's purely because they were better in lane. You could snowball advantages there. But more importantly, I think APA and UMTY both have more significant room to step up than the individual players on FlyQuest did, which can put them above. Plus, I'm expecting a quad slump. For no other reason than it happens for whatever. It happens every time in North America, barring like 1 or 2 examples. So why would it not? Why would I bet against the odds now?
I will say FlyQuest didn't boot camp. Team Liquid did in Korea. So that does give Team Liquid, like to your point, maybe they come a little bit more fresh than, say, a quad who has been on vacation for a lot longer.
Also, you give me Impact without nerves that he clearly had during Worlds. Impact's still the best top laner in North America.
Oh, did you see what Impact mentioned? I asked him about Worlds. I was like, man, a lot of people have been criticizing you. And he was like, you know what? I'm not really a nervous type of person, but after the loss to FlyQuest, I just have all these nerves. Couldn't get rid of them. FlyQuest traumatized them. I think now he was like, okay, I think I've gotten over it, but it's remained to be seen.
He's not going to get over it until he plays them again. That look, everybody that has ever played a sport knows that you cannot you can say that you conquered those demons. You ain't conquering shit until you're in that moment and have to face them again.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you'll know. And that, I think, is actually a very good motivating factor for Team Liquid to be able to overcome it, and for Impact to push his team around them as well.
I think I may kind of change my answer, because I think, like, but also at the back end, I think TL kind of like ran out of gas. It felt like at Worlds, it just felt very deflated of what they normally were, and I think the time to refresh, I think, probably does them more favors than FlyQuest. So I may change my answer to TL.
I'm sticking with FlyQuest, considering we're about to play them. All right, third team. I think Cloud9 will be our third team. Lauren?
Well, what split is this for Loki?
It's his first split.
And Korean mid lane is
It's the
normally
second
do
split
well
for Thanatos, so I don't
That's
know.
the problem. It negates itself. The Thanatos fall off.
True. True. I didn't think top lane could be such a problem until we had Summit in second split syndrome. Actually, I wasn't even second
He
split.
didn't last. It was playoff syndrome.
True. But that felt like a whole season, like just that playoffs. But like third, I think's reasonable. I want to hear like who your guys' third teams are.
It's 100 Thieves.
Yeah.
Well, for me, it was Cloud9.
You guys didn't get that much better. Like Loki, like I'm not gonna sit here and try and say that he's an upgrade to Joe. Even with Jojo Pune sprinting it, I still don't think it's that big of an upgrade in any way, shape, or form. Like even if you assume the mental boom on top of that, it's not enough to overcome what I think will be clear growth for 100 Thieves. Like our ceiling of growth is just exponentially higher than your guys. We're still playing like chickens with our heads chopped off. When that stops, we're fine, and we already beat you once doing that.
Mm-hmm.
We upgraded in the one role that you would assume, or like the one lane that you would assume would be an issue.
I think the one thing I think you're definitely going to see out C9 this year is definitely going to see more cohesion. I think Sven coming back, I labeled it as like our version of Impact. I think he will keep Blabber in check, because I think he had these problems, like trying to basically pull a dead carcass across the line. And like I noticed that specifically in the 100 Thieves series, like him and Vulcan were trying too hard. And I think the one thing we have going for us is we're still one of the best early game teams in the league. I think if we can keep that, because I don't like to pull on like last year's, because it is a completely different team, but I still believe that Blabber and Vulcan are going to pilot our early game. I think Sven will at least be a bit more of a calming presence in the late game, whereas Berserker was more like held back. I think Phantos still has room to grow, because he kind of like Sniper. As soon as you got to the team fights, he was like, "Oh, you're not with us at all." It's like 4 guys and then him. So
I will say to your cohesion point, though, I think you actually do have grounds to stand on that.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I think like
this year there's been less turnover than any other year prior from the top teams.
Yeah. And like the one thing that a lot they were saying about Loki is he has like a good go button, and I think that's kind of what I see the team this year is they're all gonna go and blubber. Like even that they're talking about in the doc that they just released, like Berserker and Jojo were kind of like off the page of like how Blabber wanted to do the game. And I think now you're bringing back Sven, who was already bought in like from 2020 and like previous seasons. So I think we will have a lot better like foot to stand on this year.
Are you sold on Vulcan? Like you think he's going to return to form?
I think he had like a kind of an upswing in summer. I think it's hard to say, like every player looked garbage in like the 100 feet. It looked lost. Like Berserker, look, when is this guy look at what he's doing in LCK now, and this guy was on Ziggs. Like I guarantee he's not playing a Ziggs game in his life in the LCK. But I think like who are we replacing him with? I think you kind of said the same thing about Ayla. Like give us like good replacements, and I may be open to it. But
to be fair, I'm not saying replace him at all.
No,
I'm just saying, like, when comparing him to Ayla, I think it's like a lot of people put down Ayla, but I don't think people put Vulcan down enough to a certain extent for how bad the last few years of his play has been. Yes, he had that step up in summer, but like his results over the last 3 years have been, since leaving EG, have been abysmal.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
I
like,
agree.
at what point do you bear responsibility for it not working on so many different teams?
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's not great. I think at a mechanical level, he's still top 3 in the league. But it just, for whatever reason, on the teams that he's with, does not work yet.
And I think people are overlooking the fact that him and Sven had a falling off when like Sven got benched. I'm kind of like, I don't know if I'm pretty sure they were like a problem and they couldn't be in a lane together.
Yeah.
So like it's not all rosy just because Sven's back. Maybe they're different now. Maybe like they've aged a little bit, but I'm not expecting them to be fly across the tier 1 bot lane. Like it's not even going to be close. But I don't think we need. I don't think we need the bot lane to specifically take over games.
No, but I comfortably put you guys at 4th and put us at 3rd, because I think regardless of how you see Loki, barring the fall off that we weirdly had at Worlds during that series against R7, which I'm assuming it's just going to be chalked up to nerves from Quid's point of view. Quid River is still the best mid jungle duo in the league, barring Quad performing at the level that he was at the end of summer. But even prior to that, I would still have put Quid River as like best mid jungle duo.
Not for all of summer. They struggled.
Sorry.
Like the beginning of summer was really bad for 100 Thieves. You guys went like 1-5 or something.
Yeah,
So
and
I
they
don't
were
put it for
still
the entire
playing well
time.
together, which is wild.
No, dude. In River on Zyra, like, come on, man. Okay, maybe that was more Ayla. Ayla was kind of just absolutely running it.
Our bot lane was getting 2-3K goal behind every game.
That's fair.
Every game. It was like there was nothing. I'm not saying that everybody else wasn't blameless, but you look at how the switch immediately flipped after the roster change was made. Yeah. I mean, I get that the beginning portions of it was dunking on the lesser teams of the league. Like when we made the change, it was then I think like Immortals, Shopify. I forget who else, but it was all
game that
bottom.
we played.
Yeah, it was the first 4 games were tough, and then the last 3 we were able to ramp up going into playoffs. Playoffs, we weren't able to beat like the top teams, but we took care of business against everybody else that we needed to, off of good engages and Quid knocking down the pins that River is setting up. My biggest question mark for 100 Thieves this year is honest to God Sniper. He's my question mark, because I don't want to see any more sus TPs. I really don't.
I'll tell you why.
I don't want as well in the first TP where it looks longer. So it looks longer. So
it's gonna hit like a truck if he's late TPing to a play, or like even in the show match, he has a good angle but then just goes in and dies. And that was a problem that he had. Dude, I
literally did an article about praising your bot lane, and then the very first thing is Varus double kill when the game's over.
They ran it down. It was, but like that's what, if you even listen to what everybody else is saying in terms of broadcast talent, people behind the scenes, they're all saying the same thing as last year, which was 100 Thieves could finish anywhere from 8th to 2nd, and nobody would be surprised by any result of that. And it's like, because of that, for whatever reason, when it turned up in playoffs, it turned up 3rd or 4th each time. So I've got no reason to bet why they wouldn't do the same in this situation, arguably getting more comfortable, even if we have our issues still.
I think my argument is that with the meta changing, like with all these changes, I just think it does not play towards 100 Thieves' strength. I feel like you guys are very good at when like you just following up what River does. And whenever River feels like he's lost and can't really like mind control the rest of the team to do what he wants. And you know, Serdi talked about this a lot. In the beginning, every team sucks. Every team just does not know what to do. And I think Cloud9, at least from what I've seen with them, from them, have a very defined like, hey, we're playing behind Blabber. Blabber is our go-to guy. He said it in the podcast. He was like, this is gonna be my team, right? The reason they brought Loki and not Saint, who was much mechanically more proficient, is because they wanted a follower, not a leader. They wanted someone to play with Blabber. I just think that when you play around a new season, for me, 100 Thieves just seems a little too. The problems from last year will continue to plague them, and I think Golden Glue is going to need a lot more time with the meta until everybody kind of figures out what's going on. And then I would probably put 100 Thieves third, maybe going into next split, but not this split. I think that's where I'm
Remind me
leaving
how
with
we
Cloud9.
finished the regular season in spring last year
It's a very
when it
different
was new
format.
meta.
You lost 3-0 to Cloud9. I mean,
I
we
mean,
can
I'm
stop it.
not
We can
disagreeing.
stop it
I'm just
wherever you
saying, like,
want.
if your point is that we struggle to that we're going to struggle with change when we
This
first came
change, this
together.
specific change, not any
Sure,
change.
that this I will give you that this change will probably be more tough on 100 Thieves than most. But the thing that I'm expecting this year is for them to finally unlock Sniper's champion pool. Because the criticism that I've seen over and over again is fucking wild to me. Is like he only plays 3 champions. It was Renekton. It was something like I forget what the other 2 were, but Renekton was like the one
Renekton,
that everybody pointed
Cassante,
to.
and what was the third one?
I think
Jax.
it's Aatrox. It's Jax or Aatrox.
Jax.
Yeah, it's like I'm looking at his solo queue account. He's got a 100% win rate Aurelia, and Bessa is going to be perma banned against us. Nobody's letting Sniper have Bessa. That's not happening. Like he's got carry bruiser top lane champions that if you can find a way to play around can work. And if anybody sits here and tries to tell me, oh, but the meta's going this, I just watched fucking Showmaker play Zoe on the LCK stage. If you want to play around weird picks, you can. It's just a matter of making it work and embracing that as your identity. Will
And
we
that's
do
Golden
that?
Glue's
I don't
strength.
know. I hope we will.
I think Golden Glue's done a phenomenal job at finding good drafts for your team. Whether you guys win or lose, like he has constantly been putting players on comfort, like very simple things to do, which I thought was like a sign of very good coaching.
I would agree, other than the fact that we saw Aurelia only a single time or not Aurelia. We saw Riven only once last year. How did we only see that once last year? How do you not get that champion in this man's hands more often?
It could be a case where like the team is saying, "Hey, no, we don't think it's a good idea," or Sniper being like, "Actually, you know what? Cassante is probably better in this matchup." Like again, he was his
But
first year. I don't know how confident he was to like pull it out multiple
that's
times.
that's my theory as well. Is
Yeah.
like maybe he kind of like just kind of did. Maybe he went with it. I don't know. I haven't talked to Spooks or Golden Glue or anybody to like really ask the question, and I'm curious to see if I can get that answer upcoming. But I just want to see his champion pool get unlocked because he's got so much more depth than people are giving him credit for. I just want to see it on stage. And if it fails on stage, and it fails on stage, and I wear the egg on my face, and that is what it is. But I'd rather see it than be left sitting here
Yeah.
wondering.
Do you remember Ruby from TSM?
Way back in the day, yeah.
Yeah, back in 2023, they brought him in for summer. Everyone was like, "Why the hell are you bringing a random washed like Korean who didn't do well on Heretics, if I'm not mistaken?" And Revan was like, "Dude, I watched this guy scrims. He's just gonna be phenomenal." And they brought him in. He just like was trash. They brought in Insanity. Insanity 1-3-0. He started Insanity. Apparently, what happened behind the scenes was this guy was just playing the Fiora mid. He was playing Aurelia was another champion. He was playing like old Belveth. He was playing all these champions. He was absolutely destroying like when he was on Heretics, he was beating Caps and Humanoid, and then he'd go on stage, and Peter Dunn would be like, "Yo, let's pick you the Aurelia." He's like, "No, actually, I think Azir is good here." He's like, "Bro, we didn't practice Azir." He's like, "Yeah, but like they played Azir in LCK." He's like, "Bro, you're a one trick Aurelia. Play Aurelia." He's like, "I don't think so." He's like, "All right, just play Azir." So sometimes players just can't don't want to risk it on stage.
Yeah.
I want Thanatos to embrace it more because I know he has that in his locker, and this dude just plays Renekton and Cassante every freaking game. And no,
See,
I think Loki is going to be.
flashbacks.
I think Loki will be one of those players because I know because him and Veigar talk a lot apparently, like him and Loki, and I really hope that we finally actually see the value of Veigar like publicly, and we actually get like some of his picks, some of his builds. We only saw it like once where Joe did like the Tankazir build. That's the only time like Veigar really popped off at one of our mids. But I really hope that Loki's being more expressive.
He could study Quid VODs if you want.
Loki for
Just saying.
MVP.
Dude, the game hasn't even started yet. Relax.
I don't even know what the
Kill yourself.
reward system is this year. I can't remember.
So they made Mark Z made a clarification on it. So I think it was I don't know if there's anything for split 1. Split 2 will have like 1 per region, and then split 3 will only have like 1 for the entire LTA, I believe.
Interesting.
Pretty much.
It's a mix from, it's different from the current format in voting for MVP.
Oh, that format is so bad in my
crazy when a
opinion.
Brazilian player wins it.
No, like first of all, a Brazilian isn't going to get. I very much doubt that that's going to happen. But the idea that you're expecting your North American talent to watch South America and South American talent to watch North America enough so that they can get rid of their biases and be like, oh, actually, for as a matter of fact, Titan is like this literally the best AD carry in both regions. Like that's just never ever going to happen. I think just give separate, like I know you want to make everything together, but having just one MVP, it's just not, that's not it in my opinion.
Here's what I think you do for that. I think you can't, it sucks to, oh no, the word I think they said was going to be, it's like a year-long thing, which makes it even harder. But I think what you do is, if you're going to give a LTA like league-wide award, it can only be during the times where there's crossplay.
But we don't get any crossplay in the regular season.
I know, but that's what I'm, because like you said, like I'm thinking about the pool of people who vote for MVP. Okay, players ain't gonna know shit about the LTA South. They don't play them. They barely scrim them. They're not gonna know things. We as the media, there's gonna be a few that watch both. I'm not touching the LTA South. I'll tell you that right now. Like I don't have time. So, like, I'd imagine the majority of media probably will not be watching all the games. It's just not feasibly possible. So then you're relying on the broadcast and analyst, which Emily Rand, I know, will have probably the most educated vote out of everybody. But then beyond that, I don't know.
So 1 out of 50 people will exactly. Be qualified. So it's like, what is this, man?
We give it the honorary Emily Rand Award. Just name it after her. At this point,
exactly.
She deserves
just give it Emily Rand Award. You're like, you just pick.
Oh god, Lux is in your chat.
Oh snap!
Who let Ludwig log into the fucking Shopify Rebellion account?
Well, you want him to flame you on your channel again?
Oh, dude, that's free content. I'll milk that shit all day. Come on.
I can't believe you didn't make it back to plat.
I'm not surprised. Like I'm winning and losing games right now in gold because my jungle top side is going like 1-17, and like there's nothing I can do. You just sit there and accept it, and it's like I got to be able to win the games that I can control, which I do lose some, and that's on me. And I'm getting coaching right now, so we'll see how that goes by the end of the year.
Famous like from a content creator or just like a person?
No, just our mid laner for low budget LCS, Healy. He's a diamond player. Okay. He's actually like
C9 fan Healy.
Yeah, our first lesson was a little bit interesting because I told him to mute himself halfway.
That's interesting.
Okay, to be fair to my case, he asked what is the best way for me to learn, and I said, let me tell me things to do before the game. I'll try doing it, and then we talk afterwards. And whenever I would die, he would come in and like start trying to give me tips and like things to do. And it's like that's not what we talked about. What we talked about was like, I'm gonna play the game and we acknowledge my mistakes afterwards, and then we work on it and we fix it there. When you tell me after every death what I should or shouldn't be doing, I know it's immediate feedback, but there's too much going on up here. I'm overthinking everything. There's too much. I'm not gonna learn. I'm gonna forget half the shit, and then it goes bad. So just please wait until the end. I shouldn't have told him how I did. That's on me, my mistake. But now we're good. We've talked about it.
Player can't process information. Just right click.
Hey, it's not just 80. That's how everybody in the world, for the most part, is. I teach golf. It's the same way. You tell people too much during their swing, they start overthinking it. They forget the fundamental of their grip and like how to hold the club and how to stand, and then they're lost everywhere. You got to stick to 3 things at most, and that's it. 1 before the game, 1 during the game, 1 after the game. 3 things.
I like that. Still gonna make fun of you because you played AD carry in season 14 or 15.
Yeah,
come on,
fuck
man.
Off.
Dude, AD carry is so weak right now. It's just not fun playing. Unless you're playing Nyla. Nyla's pretty fun to play in this meta.
Marksman champions are the best in the game. They're the most fun to play.
I don't care what role.
If I could play MF every game, then yeah.
Nah, dude, Samira's fun right now.
I'd go to 0-17 with Samira if I tried to pick her up.
Dude, play Nyla. She's so much fun. I don't know if you ever tried her or not.
No, I do, and I enjoy. And I love the fact that her Q does damage to turrets. You could just absolutely
Yeah.
shred them if you get a lead. But the problem is, very few people understand that you need to go in with her. Her W will block autos. Stop putting me at range to the point where I'm getting pelted by Jinx rockets. Like, let's go in, please.
Dude, people don't know that it gives them the dodge as well.
Yeah,
She's so
she's just
fun.
never played.
And
She
the
has
XP.
slipped through the cracks. Nobody
Yeah.
knows about her at
We
all.
saw one game of her last year in all of like NA, and it was Masu, and they lost the game because they threw, but not because Nyla wasn't good. I want to see more of her. She's so good. She's so much fun.
Who played it? Didn't G2 play it once or twice?
G2 played Nyla?
I know Berserker played it
Sama
once in
played
the
Nyla?
playoff game.
Really?
I thought G2 played it. It might have been like this. Now, granted, Nyla's an older champion. It might have been the Flackid
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Targamas days, but I'm pretty sure G2 played it at some point.
I just want to see more Nyla. Like I played her recently. I might start playing AD carry again, but only Nyla. It's fun.
Good luck.
Cloud, who's your fourth team then?
Well,
Yeah.
Shopify. I have Shopify over 100 Thieves for me.
Okay, I'll let
Ow.
you explain, then we can tell you you're wrong.
We can tell you you're wrong. Well, I think this team is first of all, Zazel is going to be in for Seus, and I'm assuming that Seus will get his visa before we're out. I think realistically speaking, we lose to Fly. It's just the way the bracket works, in my opinion. We just have to beat one team. Like as long as we beat Lion, which I'm putting them as the worst team, just knowing
They also
players.
don't have their mid laner. Saint's not here yet.
Wait, he's not here yet?
Apparently Young is in the
Oh yeah, I
contract
saw
database.
that.
Oh, if they're playing against Young, okay, all right. So we're definitely beating them.
Oh, dude, if
Hey,
we
I'm
lose
a Young
to
fan.
them,
When he was playing on DSG, like I would follow his stream, chat and stuff, but like he's still not ready for LCS, in my personal opinion, or LTA. So like we lose to FlyQuest, Cloud9 beat Lion. We play against Lion. We just have to beat whoever comes out from the winner side between 100 Thieves and Team Liquid. It comes down to, in my opinion, between Shopify have to play a best of 3 against 100 Thieves. And like, in what world, in what universe I'm saying we're gonna lose to 100 Thieves? I don't see it.
I'm gonna sit back and let you two have this one out.
Okay, Fudge historically has had very, very good time dealing with Sniper. I think Sniper has a really cool like champion pool, and I hope that with Fearless we're gonna see more of it. I just think that Fudge is like that player that was kind of scapegoated on Cloud9, but when you put him there, he's going to take a significant amount of the firepower that 100 Thieves have. 100 Thieves have really strong like solo laners, and I think when Fudge can absolutely neutralize the Sniper, and I think Quid is just going to run Palafox. It is what it is, but I think our bottom lane is just going to be better. First of all, even if we're playing with Zazel, I think B-Boy Zazel is a better bottom lane than anyone plus Ayla. That's just my personal opinion. You can disagree with it. I think Contracts, now that he's going to play with actual, like a team that doesn't do the opposite of what he wants, is going to be more. I think people were very hot on Contracts to begin with, and they were like, oh, he's kind of elo held. He is still with Palafox. I'm hoping he just doesn't int, right? But I think that both teams have like, hey, we really don't want this person to be playing poorly in Palafox and Ayla. And I think the rest of the team, we absolutely can match the firepower.
David is absolutely stunlocked.
And I think
can I just get my Fudge point in before I let David go off? That wasn't that Sniper's very first best of 5. So he's had a lot of time since then to get better. He played this like cheese TF. Like
it was
I'm even willing to sacrifice. I'm even willing to agree to your top lane point that I do think Fudge does a good job of nullifying Sniper. You watched Zazel get dicked down by Ayla how many times last year, and you still are going to come out here and say that anybody can fucking beat Ayla when you couldn't once last year?
What are you talking about? Our bottom lane was not the problem, brother.
And what excuse are you going to have whenever Quid wins his lane? And
I gave Quid to you.
Contracts in jungle
I gave
again.
Quid to you. No, I think our support jungle duo is way better than yours. Just because your support doesn't understand how to engage.
Brother, We
He turned his
watched
camera off.
Ayla beat every other fucking support other than the top two.
Why?
Yet you're gonna
It
come
wasn't
out here
because
and
he was playing well. It's because the other support were eating their minds out.
oh, it's almost as if you don't have to be you don't have to be individually the best skilled player to collectively make your team better.
And it's almost
Who
like
would've guessed
having
that?
a bad player makes your team worse.
Agreed. Too bad we don't have one. We got a middling player at best. That's the worst thing you can say about
You
Ayla.
yourself were flaming it. You couldn't hold it during your live
I'm allowed
streams.
to flame him. He's my team. He's my player. You ain't allowed to say shit until you beat him. So you can kindly fuck off with that one.
Oh, we'll
It's
beat
like
him
being
when we
from
beat him.
Jersey. Anybody can try and insult Jersey, but only people from Jersey can say shit about it.
My friend, you were saying that he was missing his Leona Qs. It's a targeted spell,
Yeah.
and you were like, that guy's
And guess
missing
what?
it.
He could miss all of them and still whoop your ass. And he did. Multiple times. Actually, not even multiple. Every time last year. You didn't beat us once. I don't care whether you say you upgraded pieces elsewhere. Guess what? Our pieces are still better elsewhere.
They're not.
FBI is better than B-Boy.
In what world?
Did we not see B-Boys fall off at the end of at the end of summer?
Him personally,
And you're gonna tell me it
no.
was a bad team around him that he's playing with
Absolutely.
again in bot lane?
Dude, our top lane jungle.
I've seen Fudge be on completely different planets as his team,
Dude,
which is the
as
same
soon as
thing
we
that
brought in-
Fake Op is
As
doing.
soon as we brought in Boogie, did B-Boy not go back to the form that he was in spring?
Missing playoffs for him? Yeah.
First team All-Pro. Yeah. Where was FBI on that list? He
Where
wasn't
was-
even on that list.
Yeah. Understandably. Did you see the mid laner he was playing with? Oh, wait a minute. You have that mid laner.
Ooh, this is gonna be great beef. I wish we should do a video between
Tell me
FBI.
more,
FBI is
tell me
stone
more.
cold. FBI is stone
You
cold.
want to try and sit here and I'm getting Luna riled up. You want to sit here and try and shit talk FBI. Meanwhile, he was getting ran down by the player you decided to pick up, who you even can't, for your rational mind, figure out why they didn't keep Insanity.
Oh, I could. I understood it after it was explained to me by the head coach.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. You had to have smoke blew up your ass in the same way that Paul
From
believed
back
in
in
Andy
the day.
Miller's shit that they were going to be
Oh,
here
we
for the long
shit talking
run.
Palafox?
Yes.
Dude, the same guy that said these players don't have the dog in them, and then he's the smallest puppy in the LCS. LTA. Oh, I ruined it.
Okay, wait. How many times did Berserker actually make it to out of groups? And JoJo, how many times? 0. How many times did Palafox do it? I think he deserved to say what he said. I think he deserved it. He had just won.
You cannot enter yourself in this conversation whenever you have no leg to stand on. And there's no wheelchair ramp to help you up here. So, sorry. This is not an ADA accessible building for you to reach and talk about. Sorry.
He literally just beat the players. Here's the thing. For me, trash talk, you should always do it before the game. After the game,
Agreed.
GG, brother, we move on.
Agreed. Just, it's wild hearing trash talk from the garbage bin. It's like, I don't know what to tell you. You're like, you cannot, there's no anything that you can try to say against FBI is immediately negated by Palafox. And there's no comeback that you could possibly have on that.
I guess we'll have to see who is the real problem.
That's the default answer anytime you don't have a response is we'll wait and see, praying to God that his gameplay proves what is otherwise pre-event analysis correct.
And on the Fudge point, he was not a scapegoat. He had overstayed his welcome.
Look,
I do
was he
think Fudge
playing...
is going to level up on Shopify, to be very clear, though. I think he's going to
The thing is, I think he's... The problem I always had, and like it's a bit rich coming from NA fans in general, but his international play just pissed me the fuck off every time.
Who was better than him? Who was better than him? Like every year we would send 3 top laners. Everyone would get destroyed. He was the only person in his first year to actually play the Lee Sin, to play the Fiora. He had a good showing once and a bad showing the second time. And then yes, afterwards I agree with you. He stopped playing. He started handshaking. He was on on Cloud9 in 2024. He was like complacent. He will tell you that. But that doesn't mean he was bad or he was the reason that... Look, you guys had the same problems after you got rid of him. You guys finished worse after you got rid of him.
Oh, you guys. I thought you were going to say
No,
5 to
No, no,
7.
no,
Friends,
not 100, not 100. Yeah.
one thing that Cloud9 fans will never tolerate is players that are complacent. There was mixed reactions to Reaper coming back because of they were so badly scarred from the 2020 like complacent like end, where Reaper, and I think even Sven admitted that Reaper just got complacent. And to me, that's unacceptable when that was meant to be one of the most dominant years this organization could ever have. And you threw it away. We never got to see that team internationally. Like, that is disgusting.
No MSI either. That was sad.
I had a hot take that year that we would actually make MSI finals based on how we were playing.
Well,
It never.
I think you might have.
I
Like
think I
they
think
were
so too.
just
Yeah, yeah.
clicking. But here's the thing. I also don't. COVID is one of those weird times where I'm willing to understand people getting demotivated because it
Mhm.
was a very dark time for a lot of people mentally trying to figure out how life's going to work. And like it's not an excuse. Obviously, you're paid to do your job. You're paid to do this. But I do understand why he would slip down that rabbit hole and why he would become complacent and why that could become an issue. So like I entirely get it. I do.
I think, but he kind of like trajected like as code was kind of ending. Like the 2021 season, he came in like he didn't get that crowd at all. Um, like I I don't think he's a bad player, and I even said this when we left. Like he's not a bad player. He is a top 3 top laner. But maybe not like I would have to evaluate the rankings now. But when he left, he was still good. It's just
I
he needed a different environment. Like
I agree with that. Yes.
he needed a reset. Like he'd gone complacent, and the org, the team, the players, fans, they weren't going to tolerate that. And yeah,
I
But
couldn't
he
believe that
absolutely was
Shopify
not the
didn't pick him
problem.
up. Like initially, when he got benched, I could not believe that you guys did not pick him up right away.
So apparently what happened was Shopify felt like they were very close. Like we had the second half of our split when we actually clicked and whatnot, when B-Boy was like there for a while, they felt that we were literally like one team fight away from making playoffs, knocking out NRG, and they felt like they were really close. And that's why they actually made the Tomio change instead. They're like, hey, maybe if we just upgrade the jungle a little bit, we'll be good enough contention to make it to playoffs our first year. We're not trying to break the bag or anything. That was sort of their mentality. So also I think I don't know that Fudge would have wanted to join anyways, because the idea was like he was supposed to still technically like be on C9. He would have went to Worlds with C9 as well and be able to like practice in Korea and whatnot. So I don't know, but yeah.
I think he was on like decent money like as well from Xenon. So unless like Shopify were gonna like supplement that contract at the time, I think it would have been like I can see why he just sat out.
But he
Yeah.
like you said, I think he's gonna come back very motivated. Look, he went to Korea, got like top 10. If I'm not mistaken, he was like the 8th on the ladder when he went. In general, when players do that, they come back, they play quite well.
I hope so. I want to see him
But
play
we
well.
just spent a month in that country, so I hope we actually got some value out of it.
I mean, we spent a month there too, so
So do we.
I
100%
think you'd
win
need a
rate available.
year considering some of the players, but
actually 3 of our players are ex Cloud9. That's funny to think about.
Yeah.
And our coach too.
so why would I back them over the real Cloud9?
The real Cloud9 hasn't been too hot. There's a whole like, are they on their TSM
And
arc? But we're not gonna talk about that
work out
here.
well for Dig. Didn't work out
You
for
want me
Cloud9
to piss
Yellow.
off C9 fans? Because I'm down.
You want to do this, Martin?
What's the what were we talking about? Sorry.
That you guys are fucking terrible as the first, like the top of the totem pole fan base.
I will read out a quote that I was sent by your good friend Blue. I won't answer anything with vague that like gives vague subjective feelings.
Fair. I'm not going to fight you on that. But I stand by my point that I want to have somebody that's willing to like. There's a honor to being at the top and being the most popular, and I think we talked about this before, Cloud. But I think like C9 fans formed as kind of like the outcast of TSM and CLG, where they do great as a counterpart and having somebody to go against them, which I think is why you're very so desperately trying to find 100 Thieves as your heel. But being standalone at the top takes a certain level of just delusional faith and fandom that people mock TSM for years. But it's what you want when you're at the top. It's unfortunate that their org and management were fucking terrible and ruined everything for them. But the fan base, that loyalty, that unwavering, like, new year, new project, we're still going to be number one. Fuck you for thinking otherwise. That's what you need from somebody that's going to try and maintain that spot at the top. D9 fans, I feel, are a little too passive for that.
I think that's because there's been things brewing across the org, because a lot of our League fans are also Valorant fans, they're also CS fans, and those have been their own thing. In Valorant, we are compared to evil geniuses, apparently. Like, people say that evil geniuses are, like, above us in terms of, like, org reputation, which is, like, that's just, these are from content creators that, like, oh my god, they would not exist in League because their takes are so bad. Like, wait,
Jesus.
like, I never thought I would see a take where we let players go and we are called evil geniuses. Like, we
That's
are
the opposite
finishing
of EG.
consistent. No, like, let's say we had like 100 Thieves like split, but we didn't get like make it to the land because there's only top two, right? So like 100 Thieves finished third. This is what C9 was doing in Valorant, and they are wanting us to be kicked out the log or like the league like we're immortals. Like, there is fans on every Reddit kick this org out, and
But see, that's
see,
where that's
we're
my
fighting
point, though.
battles on like a billion fronts because we're unhappy with the org. We're unhappy with the representation we get from Valorant. Like, it was disgusting what happened the other day when we played NRG. Like, that's its own problem. And then, like, we're not getting results either. Like, it's like, because like C9
it surprises
pillars
me, though.
themselves as like, in like their emails, their websites, they call themselves like a pillar in esports, and then we are consistently fed like mediocre to like above average rosters in like Valorant. League, then they're unhappy. Not unhappy with Loki. I'm not unhappy. I think at first I was a little underwhelmed, but it took me a long time to actually be convinced. And like CS, we had a top 3 team in 2022, and now we're not even in CS after spending millions.
But
So
that's my thing, though. TSM arguably went through way worse shit than you guys, despite all this. And their fans were still loud and proud, and you heard them at all times. It's the turtling that is like, it's wild to me. And I get why. I get the reasons that you're saying. Believe me, if anything, I should be turtling right now because I'm in a way fucking worse situation than you guys are. Okay. But you have to put all that shit to the side and just be willing to go out and do it anyways. And if it comes back to bite you, then fine. But it's just unwavering loyalty for no reason whatsoever. Like, that's just sports fandom. I watch FSU fans, okay? Dude literally promised to eat dog shit if they lost the first 2 games. He deletes his Twitter afterwards. They continue to lose in an unprecedented manner. It's never happened before in college football, okay? But what did the entire FSU community do other than, openly shit on themselves? They rallied behind getting this guy back on Twitter to eat the dog shit. And you know what he did? He came back, he ate it, and they won again. Okay? That's what I want to see. That's the level of dedication I want to see. I don't want to see you guys turtle up. I don't want to see like this, openly shitting on your org in public. Okay? If anything, you fight with each other, but then you have a united front once you go on social media. And I don't see that united front.
I see both angles, to be honest, because like I think it's been brewing for a while, and like people were calling this back in like 2021, 2022. Like, something is happening within the org, even if the org appears like fine, but then it's just gradually on the field getting worse, and like we weren't this type of org before in terms of like we were always the second, but when like in 2020 the org made a pivot to saying like no, we're here to win everything. Like on their socials, on their website, they call like I said, they call themselves like a leading pillar in esports. Well, a leading pillar in esports can't be battling out with 100 Thieves and Shopify for third, fourth, and fifth. And
Fudge's comments on that solidify what you're saying.
Which
I don't know if
comments?
you remember what he said prior to Worlds in 2022. He said, "We are the only
Oh
hope
yeah.
of North America. We have only ever been the only hope. So watch us, and that's all you need to do." And then you come out and you go 1-5 in the same way that every other team did. That to me was the, have you ever watched How I Met Your Mother?
Briefly.
There was an episode where they talked about, it's called like a glass shattering moment, when you realize that that a facade or like something, you don't pick up on an issue because you're infatuated with somebody, or like there's something that's blinding you to like this obvious like red flag problem that exists. That was my glass shattering moment for me, where it was like, okay, I didn't realize if a Cloud9 have been posturing themselves to like try and be the org of North America. You don't turn up the fans like TSM did to venues. We've all been to events. We know they're not sold out. We know whenever TSM was there, it was way more sold out than this. Granted, League was more popular, but TSM fans carried a ton of weight.
I'll still say now it's still majority C9, but it's not like we can't.
You are the majority.
Yeah, we couldn't do a TSM. I will give you that.
No. The international results that you guys always prided yourself on didn't come with domestic titles back when. But now that you're getting the domestic titles, like the international results fell off, and that was the one thing that was like really prided on. And despite winning, it's still change after change after change. It's like
the Thanos meme. It's like, what did it cost? And
yeah,
I felt like what is cost is like a little bit of ourselves, and like I'm only going with what the org is. Like if the org's expectations were, we're gonna just go full budget NA, young talent, cool. I'm not setting the expectation. I'm not going and saying that, oh, we should be finishing first, because you're not telling me these things. But if you're telling me we're meant to be why is FlyQuest and TL in our spot? So like that's why the fans are so like upset, because like in Valorant we had prior to franchise the top 2 roster in NA behind Optic. Like Optic was the only team beating us, and then we choked against the guard and then like lost. But we were like 1 and 2. Like we were competing. We went to champs, did good. One of the first NA teams to make it out of quarters in champs. So like we were positioning ourselves that you should expect us to win, and it's gradually getting further and further away, and fans can see that. And I think it's a very tough like pill to swallow.
I think branding yourself. Sorry, go ahead.
So yeah, I think it's so hard to try and convince yourself that this specific league roster is going to beat TL and Fly. Like I don't think it is. I think it's probably going to be third at best. But for me, I don't want to be third. Like at the start of this season, I said I don't want us to associate ourselves with 100 Thieves, because I don't think they're going to be fighting for a championship. So why should we associate with teams that aren't? And like I think this is just the reality that we're probably not going to this year either. So like it's a big like, what does the org do? Do they hunker down and say no, we're going to believe in these players going forward next year, or they're just going to rip up again?
I think in 2013, when Cloud9 first came in, the whole vibe was like, this is the power of friendship. And they held on to that with that OG roster until they started making changes in 2015, 16. But even then, it still stuck up until 2019. And like you said, in 2020, when they got rid of Sneaky, like the last guard, it just became very different. And they started going from like, hey, we have the power of friendship. We are like the community based, like we are second place, but that's fine because we have friends. You know, the treasure was the friends we made along the way kind of thing. And which they were great at. And they decided, hey, we're going to be first. Like sometimes you just have to admit, like, yes, they won 4 titles in 4 years, but at the end of the day, in terms of their branding, in terms of their community, in terms of their fan sentiment, they're much better at being second than first. And I
I
just
think
think
they've.
branding yourself
Sorry,
as winners is like not the greatest branding out there. I personally think it's not great because
but
not
I think
everybody
that
can
the
win.
Twitter, like the socials, still do like fine, and I enjoy the meme aspect that this org still has. But the rosters don't really reflect that. Like the one that's felt more like Cloud9 actually evolved is the COD roster. I think it's fucking hilarious. Them podcasts that we get, well, like I didn't think I thought Sid was just this like mopey guy. I actually listened to one of the podcasts, hilarious.
Dude, he's fucking hysterical. It's great.
Yeah, like he's like single-handedly like carrying our like what I feel was a Cloud9 of old. Like with just how he is, like he got C9 banned for a week from scrims because he was snaking.
Wait, what's snaking?
David can explain.
It's a really complicated topic.
Okay.
We'll get into it off stream. I don't want this will take 20 minutes to like fully get in, like
Oh, it's not
explain
like he
and
was
get the
like
history of it done.
spawn camping or anything.
No, it's an intentional choice done by players that are now blacklisting each other from scrims. If you do it during a game match, it's
Dang,
weird.
okay.
It's just a weird mechanic that shouldn't be in the game, but developers haven't found a way to remove it. So players have to take it upon themselves to not do
Easiest
it
way
or enforce it with each
Okay,
other.
okay, I
I can
understand.
explain it. It's like a head glitch, and if you sit on it for too long, the pros will like give like their own like kind of ruling on it.
But it has to be done because if you don't regulate it, it's I don't even know what a good league comparison would be. It's not even like because if there's a busted champion, like everybody can just ban it, but like
It's
you're
like
not
the Nico
allowed to
thing.
just
It's like
kind
yeah, but like
kinda
a little more substantial.
kinda the difference being like this would be like if you could go into a team fight and more or less artificially reduce your hitbox of your champion
Oh.
that you have to be able to click on. But if you don't like, if you just go normally, like I don't know a way to explain it, but like if you can make
There was like a Gragas like bug, and like in the LCS, and like Gragas had to be banned because people were abusing it.
imagine Cho'Gath, okay, and he gets like unlimited stacks, but he never increases in size.
Ooh.
That's like the best mechanical comparison I think I can make because like with these head glitches, like if this is to make this dead flat. If this is a wall, the thing with Call of Duty is you want to have your head slightly above it. You want to have the angle that you can look out and shoot, but be protected with the most amount of cover. Snaking is whenever players can go up and down really quick, but it doesn't really register on the other person's screen. So it looks like they're permanently behind cover, but they're not.
Oh,
So it gives
dang.
you an unfair advantage in a team fight to do it, or in like a gunfight to do it. But there's no way that they found to ban it or like to fix the mechanic of it. So players just have to like if it's seen on camera, you're like you will not be allowed to scrim for a certain period of time. An Optic player actually just got dinged. It was unintentional apparently, and when we saw his point of view that they were able to show afterwards, it didn't really look like he was, but he still accepted the 1-day blacklist for all of them from scrims. Like it just is part of it. Like if you even get close, you have to be so strict with it to try and reinforce the culture of it. I said I wasn't going to explain it, and I did.
That's fine. That's fine. No. I think you did a pretty good explanation. Yeah.
But
The funny
no,
one was the LAT player calling for C9 to be banned, and then immediately after they got 3-0'd, and the whole C9 fan base was just fucking clowning on him.
it's great.
COD, I love COD.
It's so
Maybe
All
not
right.
that good, but I love COD.
I think we covered up basically everything that we wanted to. You've been very generous with your time, David. You got any final shout outs or thoughts or topics maybe you wanted to talk about?
the biggest shout out is look. I know I should talk Cloud9, but I will say they are a great partner for trying to grow this esport. Like regardless of whether I think they make for a great number one or a heel or whatever it might be, they're generous enough to be giving us a jersey to give away this weekend as we're watching the LTA. Jesus, I nearly said it. The LTA North debut at Brookland and Brooklyn here in New York City. So if you're in New York, if you don't want to hear my dogs barking, come on out to Brooklyn and watch the games with us. It's more fun than watching it on Discord or at home alone.
It is, I agree. I've been out for one event where I accidentally dined and dashed, and it was good. Do you know the story, Martin? Did I tell you what happened?
No.
So I,
This
I go
motherfucker.
I go over to the watch party in New York for LCS finals, right? The last LCS finals. And then the game ends, and for some reason the normally from game end until when the press conference happened is like a long period of time. But then I get a message on Discord, is like, hey, we're starting in like 20 minutes. So I'm like, oh, I gotta get back to the hotel because I was or my friend's place. And so I just leave and I don't pay for my food. And then I record everything, and I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't pay for my food. So I go all the way back to the bar, and they're like, you can't pay. I'm like, what do you mean I can't? It's like, well, we don't know what you actually bought. I'm like, I know what I bought. It's like, well, we don't trust you because you left. So you have to come back tomorrow when the person, the waiter was there or whatever. And so I was like, what the hell? I'm not going to be here tomorrow. And so I was like,
And they should be like surprised that you actually came back to pay.
I'm
Like,
not,
shouldn't
it
they have
wasn't
been
on
like,
purpose.
no, I mean,
Yeah.
like, you could have
The venue should have let you pay just out of like Good Samaritan. Like most, they were a little bit stingy on that front, which is a little odd. But like,
That's what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
you could have walked out and then never came back.
Yeah,
Like,
but well, the
you
thing
guys
is,
had
I
enough
messaged
times.
David. I was like, "Hey, could you like at some point pay?" He was like, "I already paid for you." So I PayPal'd him back the money. But it was just like, it was good that they told me not to pay, or else we would have paid twice.
the waitress told me whenever I went to close out my bill, she's like, "Hey, so that guy with like the curly black hair that was like sitting to the right of you, he left without paying." And I was like, "Oh no," I said, "I'll cover him." Like he went to go do something for like press and media. I got it covered. And she's like, "Oh okay." She said, "I wasn't sure if he would come back or what the deal was." I was like, "No,
I came
he's probably
back.
gone."
I came back. It was like 3 hours later or something because I had uploaded the video. I was just like done, and then I was like, oh wait, I forgot.
But that's how Cloud almost got himself banned from where we have our LTA finals watch parties forever by dining and dashing.
Almost, almost. Was that a Brooklyn? No, that was that OS
That
Legends,
was
right?
at Legends.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was Legends in Midtown, right under the Empire State Building.
yeah,
Great
it's a good
spot.
place. Yeah, it's a great spot. I
We
thought
had
the
some
vibe was
issues with the
nice.
audio early on, which is a pain in the
Yeah.
ass, which we had not had before, but hopefully that'll be solved
We never
this
got the
time
audio
around.
on, right? Yeah, we didn't.
We did later, but
No, we got the
it was like
TVs
halfway through a
on,
game.
but we didn't get
We
the
got the audio
audio.
after game one. We got the TV on
I don't think
5 minutes
so.
into game one. The audio fixed itself during game two, but the volume was low, and we never quite
Oh,
got
was
the
the volume
volume up
low?
to be
Okay,
as high as we wanted it to be.
I see. Either way, it was a
But
great experience.
I was gonna say we were all still going ballistic during that minion base race. That was nice.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I didn't even realize I was yelling until like started to calm down. I was like, wait, everyone was yelling. So yeah, if you haven't been
Oh,
to a watch
I
party,
woke up in
they're
my freaking
fun.
house because it was like 3 a.m. when that shit happened.
How
Best
is the
ending to
LTA going to
LCS one.
start? If we ended the LCS on a minion ending the game, there's got to be something wild that happens to start this all off. It can't be just plain.
It won't be like wild, but I forgot like a point to 100 feet earlier. They're going to benefit the most from Atakan flips, where they will win the game because a team has tried to flip it, and they will win a team fight and then win the game.
I don't actually think that's gonna happen. I think the teams they're playing against, they're better, so they're the ones that are gonna be starting to
Dude,
Atakan
I've
against.
seen so
And then they
many
play against Team
flips.
Liquid, and Team Liquid's not gonna flip it because they're the most disciplined. So I just feel like their side of the bracket, they're already better than two other teams, and Team Liquid's just not gonna flip it. So maybe when if they make it to Brazil.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely head out to that watch party. It was a lot of fun. Marn, do you have any shout outs?
Not a shout out per se, but it's just like to any orgs, please try if you need to like pick up any of the Cloud9 people that just recently got laid off. They are like incredible people, like some of the like closest I've got in esports. So like please, if you have the space, pick them up. They are like amazing and they will do like really good stuff for your org.
Yeah, I didn't know most of them. I only know Youngsin, and from what I've seen, she's been a really cool person. So I can vouch for her too. And then from my end, I'm just excited for LTA to be back after the games on Saturday. There will be disputing everything, so I will probably be defending Shopify, and Doc Respawn is going to be my full-time co-host. We'll probably be flaming Shopify. So if you're into, I know we have a lot of new Shopify fans, so it's definitely going to be topic. You know I will be unbearable if we win. If we win, oh man, I can't wait for it.
Don't count your
Luckily,
blessings.
one thing, apparently, I don't know if you guys heard this on the dive, that apparently 100 Thieves losing to Lion is the reason that Lion are the 4th seed in the LTA draw. Which I find hilarious that loss actually just gave us the easiest route to Brazil.
Do you guys
That's
have
weird,
the easiest
but
route? You guys have to play
Yeah.
FlyQuest. I mean, that's not.
I mean,
Yeah, but-
Oh, because
but
you're playing
they-
Lion.
the
That's
thing
right.
you
is-
That's
don't
right.
have
You're
to
literally
face
playing
100
Lion.
Thieves or Shopify or TL to make it Brazil. We played big,
Yeah,
I think.
assuming
I don't-
everybody wins in the first round because the bracket flips once you get to the first win.
Well, no, it flips in the loser's side. It doesn't flip in the winner's
Yeah, that's what
side.
I'm saying. Once you win your first one, you're flipping to the other side if you lose. So you're not
Yeah.
having like
So-
the tragic scenario would be if any of Cloud9, 100 Thieves, TL, FlyQuest lose in the first round.
Ooh, that
It
would
creates
be messed up.
a
Then-
scenario where one of the 4 of them will have to face up against the other one to eventually make it. So realistically, it creates the scenario where, assuming it's either C9 or 100 Thieves that lose, they will have to face, it will be C9 versus 100 Thieves to make it there. Or if TL FlyQuest loses, then it's TL FlyQuest versus either C9 or 100 Thieves.
I can't wait to beat FlyQuest. Just have FlyQuest
Good
play
luck.
against. Dude, you guys have to beat Team Liquid. We'll beat FlyQuest, and then Team Liquid and FlyQuest have to play for who goes to Brazil.
That'd be hilarious. That's like the 1%er, though.
You put them on opposite
Yeah.
sides of the bracket, they still meet. Oh man, it'd be awesome. All right, that was the show. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next week, Wednesday.